Hello, Yakri here with another Warframe video. Now, you might be saying to yourself, but Yakri, this looks like MS Paint, not a Warframe video. And that's where you'd be wrong, because I want to talk about those motherfucking Eidolon lures today. And why they're such a problem in Eidolon hunting. Now, as we all know, let's say this circle here is the Eidolon, right? They actually have like a nice blue color to them, right? Oh, fuck, I made the circle blue. Whatever, we'll fill it in. That's the Eidolon, right? And then, like, over here, we have you, right? I'm still made it blue, fuck. Here we go. Over here we have you, right? The stick Warframe, maybe it's your Tenno, you know? They look kind of sticky and stick-like and sickly, right? And you're shooting the Eidolon, right? You're trying to shoot the Eidolon. Pew pew, right? Pew, pew, pew. Okay, so you're trying to shoot the Eidolon, and then here, well, we're gonna do, what should the lures be, like a green outline, green circles? Yeah, green circles, that's probably outline, solid color. Okay, and here, in between you and the Eidolon, we have this, fuck, not solid at all. Whatever, we have this impenetrable wall of Eidolon lures, like completely blocking off your ability to shoot the Eidolon, right? So you try and shoot the Eidolon, and you know it just fucking gets stopped. Completely obscures the Eidolon. You have to like dodge. You might say like, all right, well, you know what? I'm gonna dodge over here, and I'm gonna shoot the Eidolon this way, right? Now, dude, you might think that would work, surely, right? But as we all know, the Eidolon lure's AI, right, tells them to calculate a path, right, that will take them onto somewhere on this line, right? So they try and find a way onto this line, the line between you and the Eidolon, and they move there, and that's how the Eidolon lures work. They try and intercept your fire, right? And they recreate this impenetrable wall. So you only get a few seconds to shoot the Eidolon while before the lures get there, right? Okay, so let's erase all this, because I'm proposing, you know, I understand that they wanted to add a little bit of extra challenge to the fight, right? By making the Eidolon lures. This is really not like a fast enough way to do this. They're like, you know what I can do? I can make a solid box. I'm not very good with MS Paint. This is my mistake. Probably should have actually like, fuck. Wait, yeah, there we go. Ha, ha, there we go. That's how you erase an MS Paint. I probably should have been good at MS Paint before doing a video of this. All right, so as we all know, that's how the Eidolon lures work now. But despite the fact that I know DE wanted to up the challenge by having the lures dodge in front of you to try and block your shots, I think we should really be able to focus on the actual Eidolon fight, and you know, we can maybe revisit the issue of the lures later, because we all know the Eidolons are plenty challenging enough without the extra lure challenge. Maybe make it like a modifier, like, you know how in Halo they had those skulls you could put on to like extra challenges or weird stuff to the mission. Maybe have like a lure mode where there's like extra rewards or something, and that's when the lures dodge in front of you to stop you from shooting the Eidolon. But what I propose is that we have it work like this now, right? So we have the Eidolon here, right? This is the Eidolon, and we'll have you over here again. I'm just gonna make you us a circle this time. You, us, I don't know. The Tenno is over here, right? And he's trying to shoot the Eidolons, right? Pew pew. Okay, so he shoots towards the Eidolons. And what I propose that the lures do is, instead of moving in front of you, they attempt to stay away from you, right? So let's say, I don't have a lot of room, I don't want to leave myself a ton of room to do this, but let's say there's a circle here, right? Oh shoot, that's a filled circle. No fill. And, all right, so we have a huge circle. It's like this, right? So this is the range. Let's say this is the radius of the Eidolon, like 50 meters around the Eidolon, right? Just pretend this is 50 meters, because the lures have to stay within 50 meters of the Eidolon, right? And so the lures, you want them to stay in the circle somewhere. And so we've got a nice little lure, right? Let's draw a little, oh fuck, damn it. Damn it, MS Paint, you're killing me. Why does it change the color? Because I still have it selected, of course. Okay, so let's redo this. So the lures are gonna want to, you know, dodge out of this circle currently, or if they have to move between you to block, they might stay in the circle. But instead, I propose the lures have a couple rules to their AI, right? So first is they try and stay away from the line between you and the Eidolon, right? The opposite of what their current AI does. And then the other thing is that they try and stay inside the circle. So if you're standing over here, the lures should have like this cone area that they avoid, right? And it would be like a 60-degree, I'm not going to actually draw 60 degrees to correctly, I'm shit at trigonometry, but you know, some sort of cone like this, which is like a do not go area for the lures, right? So the lures stay away from this cone, and they try and stay off to the side of it, right? And they dodge to whichever side is farthest away from this cone, right? And they do this based on the person they're following. Other people are just going to have to be aware of this, right? And stay away. So the Eidolon lures under this new AI, where they don't try and dodge in front of you, would sit like over here, right? And they have another rule, which is that they try and move not towards the cone, but they try and move inwards and to the side, away from the cone. So they would move like this. Like if this let's say this circle, right, is moving this way, right? That's kind of a shitty arrow. The Eidolon is walking over here, right? He's headed this way. So the lures are going to try and keep pace with the Eidolon according to some other circle, right? Like let's set this other circle. This is like a 30-meter circle, right? Or maybe a 40-meter circle, right? So they're going to try and stay inside this circle and outside of this cone, right? So the Eidolons will want to move sort of to the side and forward. So they'll move towards the Eidolon to get into this circle, and they'll move away from the player, right? So they'll end up on a vector kind of like this, and they'll sit inside this circle and sort of hover close to the Eidolon, right? And they would do this automatically if the player is within the 50-meter circle, right? And if you go outside of the circle, I would suggest that they start following behind the player, right? Like this, and not close either. Like really, actually, they would be more like back here, or back over here. This area back here, like at least 15 meters behind the player when they're not in the circle, right? Because you don't want them to be too close so you can do your parkour stuff. You certainly don't want them to float over the player. I've noticed that there's like a randomized factor where they go above your head and stop you from jumping. I think that's like a random event that they throw in there to like add a little bit of a different challenge instead of just always blocking your shots, right? But I would say we just get rid of that, just scrap that feature entirely. And instead they just follow far behind you. They could float up far behind you, but just not over your head, right? Okay, so mostly though they're gonna try and float into this circle. Now, if you might be thinking like, oh, well, what if I want to like move away with the lures for some reason, right? You've got a reason, you don't want to have the lures just do this. Well, what you could do is when the lures enter this 50-meter range, right? The context option where you have follow and stay, right? It could change to be follow and follow Eidolon, right? And if you want to set them in a position, you have to leave the 50-meter circle, right? So like if you're out here, you can tell them to stay. And if you're in here, instead of stay, it has follow Eidolon. And then what they do is they move over here, and they still will try to avoid player cones, maybe? Or maybe you leave me a comment in the video, because I'm not sure. You could have them just avoid player cones, but players move around so much, maybe just have them like go into this circle and then just follow the Eidolon in a straight, predictable path instead of their current sort of setting where they just kind of jostle around amorphously and kind of like move around organically. Instead, they just follow it on a straight line and they just track after the Eidolon, right? Once they move into here, and so they're in a predictable spot all the time, moving in a predictable way. So I think that pretty much covers it for my suggestions for how I would make lures move, I think. And then instead we could focus on maybe making the Eidolons a little bit tankier, or, you know, do something else to improve the challenge of the fights. Once we remove that, we could just focus it on the Eidolon though, right? Because it's just too many things to like concentrate on at once, I feel like, to have to like dodge past the lures before they duck in front of you and stop your shots. In addition to the Eidolon, and if the Eidolon had like shield or something crazy that came up, you know, it would be a little bit you know, more focused for new players. I don't know if people who are unfamiliar with Warframe style of mechanics will expect the lure dodging in front of you mechanic, you know. So I think it could be kind of hard for noobs to get. Whereas if the Eidolon does something that's kind of like a standard sort of MMO or RPG type thing. So yeah, I think that would be a good change to the lure mechanics. Possibly if they were a little smaller too. I don't know if that's totally good because you can't see them from the air as much, but they're a little bit smaller. That might be nice. Let me think. I think that pretty much covers it. Maybe give them like some sort of AI where they don't like getting too close to players at all, right? And so like if a player like comes into some little area around them, they just kind of float away from the player, but they keep their rule of staying inside this like closer circle. And yeah, I think that would pretty much do it. I think that's a much more interesting, you know, engaging, like lore-friendly way for the lures to behave. I mean, they presumably were programmed by Grenier, so I guess it does make sense how they worked out. But I don't know. I prefer this way personally. I think this would be a big improvement. I understand if a lot of people would disagree with that and they prefer the current lure mechanics. I know DE worked really hard on them. Some intern probably spent a lot of hours on the way they work now. So, you know. It's fair, totally reasonable if no one wants to change them. But I think it's a good suggestion. So I think we'll call it there. Let me know in the comments down below if you have any of your own suggestions, or if you think the lures should actually do something more like shoot at the players, or perhaps they could like explode on the Eidolon if the fight takes too long or something like that, right? But it wouldn't damage the Eidolon. I mean, like heal it for all the trapped Vormgeist energy that they've got. I'm not pronouncing that right, but whatever. Yeah, so let me know if you think something like that might be more appropriate. I personally kind of like this suggestion instead because I think they're a little too hard on noobs, but that's just me. I'm not that good at these Eidolon fights, so maybe pros have a little bit of a different perspective, and you'd like it to be a little bit more challenging. So just let me know. I'd love to see what people really think about this. Thanks, Yakri out.